What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Ty from Ty Drives, and sitting before me is a very beautiful 2022 Audi A5 Sportback in the 40 powertrain option and the Premium Plus trim level. And in this video, we're going to take a walk around it, show you all of the features starting on the exterior. We'll move forward and look under the hood, discuss some powertrain options, because there are a couple with the A5. Then we'll move into the storage space. We'll open up the hatch, see what that looks like. And finally, we'll get into the interior, starting in the rear with the rear seat and moving forward to the front seat. We're going to make sure you stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to strap this GoPro on my head and we're going to take it out for a little POV test drive. And I'll give you some driving impressions. We'll get a good test and feel for the way this car drives. Now, before we get started, huge thanks to Valenti Audi for providing this car for filming. We'll start off out front with the headlamps. Now, they're completely LED units, despite what trim level you get. So even the base model has LEDs. A little bit of a different design, but you get the idea. But anyways, high and low beams, daytime running lights, and turn signals are all LED. As you can see, looks very nice, all illuminated. Taking a look down below, we have some nice black accents because this car has the black optic package. So as you can see, all down here, and the grille surround is all blacked out. And we also have a sensor for the adaptive cruise control and the different front warnings, as well as parking sensors that span the front bumper. Very nice sort of sloping hood. It's got a nice angle to it once it comes towards the grille. And these are the black optic specific wheels on the 40 powertrain, at least. And they measure up at 19 inches. So that's a pretty sizable wheel. A really classy looking design for this. And the tires measure 255/35. And a nice little accent from the fender going into the door. All blacked out window trim because of the black optics package, of course. You have the oversized sunroof and shark fin antenna up there. Our mirrors house some LED turn signal indicators as well as the blind spot warning. And you also have smart key entry on all four of the door handles. So you pretty much just touch this pad right over here where my finger is to lock, and to unlock, just put your hand behind the handle. And again, that'll work on all four of the door handles. Really nice shape back here with the sloping rear end. We'll see how that opens in just a second. Moving around back, same LED treatment back here. We have the dynamic turn signals, as you can see, brake lights, tail lights, everything, even the reversing lights are all LED. More blacked out elements down below with some nice exhaust surrounds. Parking sensors also back here. And as far as badging, we have the A5, the Audi rings, and the Quattro badge on the other side. We also have the trunk release and the camera for the rear. This car looks really good, in my opinion, with these black optic wheels and also the Manhattan gray paint color. What do you guys think about the design in this car? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, so taking a look under the hood, I'd like to take a second to explain the powertrain options. Now, you might have been hearing me say the numbers 40, explaining the powertrain. And Audi uses 40 and 45 to kind of recognize if you have the least or the most powerful four-cylinder that you can get in the A5. Now, this, of course, is the 40, and then, of course, they have the 45. So the 40 is a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4, just like the 45. There's a little bit less horsepower. It's at 201 horsepower, 236 pound-feet of torque. If you step it up to the 45, you get a couple extra horsepower, 261 horsepower, and 273 pound-feet of torque. And it definitely makes a difference. Although this smaller 2-liter turbo actually makes a really good amount of power. So on the road, you know, it's not that big of a difference. And regardless of which engine you get, it's also a mild hybrid. So that kind of aids in start-stop features and things like that. Regardless of engine choice, you have the 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission, and quattro all-wheel drive. Now, under the hood, it's pretty tidy. You see you have some strut braces, which increases or does better with the handling department. You also have a few reservoirs up here, like your coolant and things like that, and also a battery connection and your airbox. Now the A5 Sportback comes standard with a powered trunklet. As you can see, it's sort of a liftback, sort of hatchback trunklet, which is pretty cool. Also gives you lots and lots of storage room. Definitely better than the A4. So you see you have a little bit of, quite a bit of height in your storage room and quite a bit of length. And you can also fold the rear seat at a 40-20-40 split. So that's very nice as well. They give you cargo shades, one over here and one that clips into the hatch itself. You also have illumination and cargo tie downs and some netting to the side to put extra things. If you open up the cargo floor, you can see it comes with a spare tire. To close the trunk, we have a couple of buttons up here, one to close and lock, and then one to just close. At this point, we can focus our attention onto the rear seats. Now this has the gray interior. You can choose between a beige, black, brown, or gray. So it's pretty cool that we have the gray interior to show off. Very nice natural grain wood. We also have the 19 speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system, which is optional. So that's pretty cool. You have nice padding on the armrests with some stitching as well. Pretty cool design for the rear seats too. And you can fold those rear seats down with this little latch up here. As you can see, it'll fold pretty much flat. And then you could load more things in there. You can also fold down the center pass-through. There's a little switch up on top where my thumb is. That will fold down as sort of like a ski hatch. And one more thing that I'd like to show you is there's a center armrest that also folds down, so that's pretty nice. You have a little bit of storage inside and two cup holders to either side. But make sure you have a straw in your drink too, that's important. All right, so hopping in, you have a pretty nice low seating position in the rear and pretty good rear seat legroom as well. So I'm about 5'10". The front seat is adjusted to a comfortable position for myself, and I do have a couple of inches of legroom. You have a couple of air vents back here with an individual temperature control with the plus and minus. You get a little LCD screen that'll light up when the car is on, and two charging USB inlets there, as well as a 12 volt. Now, if you have to carry a third passenger around here, they're probably going to be pretty cramped, so just keep that in mind. It just has to do with the overall width of the cabin and the tall center tunnel right there. But for two people back here, it'll be plenty comfortable. You also get LED illumination back here. Alrighty. One more thing I'd like to point out too is that the A5 Sportback comes with frameless glass. So that's pretty cool. Take a look at the window sticker really quick before we hop into the front seats. See that this particular car stickers for $54,000, and we do have a couple of additional packages added onto this car. Very good crash ratings. You can see the fuel economy and the parts content. A couple more buttons and switches up here. You have the lock unlock, 2-person memory for the driver's seat. You also have individual and powered child locks for the rear doors, which is pretty nice. Power folding and heated mirrors, and a little latch to open the trunk. On the left of the steering wheel, you have an air vent, all of your lighting controls, and they also give you a physical gauge dimmer, which a lot of cars seem to be phasing that out, but I like that this car still has it. You also have this little lever right here for the tilt telescoping steering wheel. Pretty large storage console in there. As you can see, the whole owner's manual booklet fits in there, so that's pretty large. We have the hood release over here and pedals over there. You really don't see a lot of these cars with the gray interior, but I think it looks pretty nice, especially going along with the dark gray exterior. As you can see, you have full powered seats with a 4-way lumbar. Here is the key for the A5 Sportback, pretty traditional key that you get. You have the unlock, lock, trunk release, the panic alarm. And you also have 2 buttons to either side, right here and on the other side, that you could squeeze, and a physical key will come out of the bottom in case you need to use that. It's a pretty nice key. And you of course have the push button start. And at this point, we could move our focus to the steering wheel. So very nice soft leather. You have stitching on the inside as well. We also have some buttons over here to control the virtual cockpit, and also some media control, so skipping, volume, and the Bluetooth telephone, voice commands control, as well as the heated steering wheel, which is very nice on cold days like today. Behind the steering wheel, we have some paddle shifters, which is nice, and we also have a couple of stalks. This top one, of course, is for your turn signals, high beams, and you can also turn on and off your lane assist in case that's bothering you. So it's nice that they give you a quick button for that. Definitely very useful. And then you also have this bottom stalk for the adaptive cruise control. And one last one on the other side for the wipers. Now, this car, of course, has the full digital cockpit, so which is very nice. And again, we're going to be using these buttons on the steering wheel to control that digital cockpit. So this is pretty much sort of a main screen that I would select. You can press the view button at any time and get more of a traditional view with the large tachometer and speedometer. But if you want more information in the center, you just press the view button. Those will kind of shrink and you'll be able to get more information. So you have real time and average consumption, different trip settings, energy consumption, and a driver's assistance screen. So we'll leave that up when we're driving, and I'll show you how the lane assist works. It's actually pretty cool looking. And then some various things like traffic warnings. We have what our radio's doing, also their phone screen, and the famous full screen navigation. So that's pretty cool. You can also enter destinations through this center display as well, and so that's pretty cool. And you can also press this over here to get a reduced display, so you don't really want anything in the center bothering you. You just want to focus on the vitals. Then there you go. So that's pretty much it for the middle screen. I don't want to spend too much time on the screens in this vehicle, but that's a good overview. We have a couple of speakers up on the dash. I believe there's 3 of them. And that brings me down to the center infotainment screen. This is kind of your home screen. I just give you a jumbulation of all the different apps that comes with the vehicle. And then you could scroll over, and this is kind of like where I would leave it. So it gives you a what's going on with your radio, what's going on with your telephone, and a small map for the navigation. So that's cool that they give you that. You can also swipe from the top, get your garage door openers over here electronically, customize your sound settings. Very customizable sound system here. It's kind of like a surround sound system. It's got a 3D effects. That's pretty cool. And we can also move over towards the rest of the things. So the radio screen is up here. We have all of your presets up there. The source over here. As you can see, all the channels in the center and settings. We have the phone screen, media as well as navigation. So you have the map right there, and then you can input your destination with that button there. Phone apps has to do with your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Then we also have some different vehicle settings, so lighting, parking aids, things, driver's assistance functions and things like that. So you could see all of the driver's assistance functions that this car actually has. So you can turn them on and off individually if you'd like. We have favorites and settings for just the system settings. I'll go through those quickly so that you can see what you can adjust. Then if we swipe over, it's just a few more basic apps like weather and things like that that you could set up. Take a look down below. We have a couple of air vents, the hazards in the center. We also have heated seats for both the driver and passenger up front, and a very nice 3-zone climate control. Super simple. We have the defrosters to each side, recirculating and off on the other. Where you want the air to blow, right on this little switch here. All of your AC settings, fan speed right there, and sync 3-zone. Then you can also customize the rear climate control as well. So very simple climate control for this car. Down here we have a couple of buttons for the drive mode select. So we have a couple of different drive modes here. We have the comfort, auto, dynamic, and individual. And you customize just a few different things in your individual driving mode. We can turn the auto start stop system on and off, traction control, and we can also turn on and off the parking sensors. Once you press that button though, you'll get a good view of the camera system, which is pretty cool. Down here we have a little USB hookup and the 12-volt power outlet, a couple of adaptive cup holders, and a little storage tray in here. Again, 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. You have the gear selector, kind of just press the release and down into drive. You can also bump it over into the manual mode, and you could shift down here or with the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. You can also go up into reverse. Your reversing camera will pop up, as well as the 360 degrees camera system over there. And there's a bunch of different camera views that you can see. You have a sort of wide angle front, normal front, the top down, rear, wide angle rear, the front tires, and the rear tires. So pretty customizable camera system on this vehicle. Then we also have P for park. Electronic parking brake, your audio volume, and also skipping for your different radio stations or tracks. And I find this to be a nice little storage tray to put your key, because it kind of perfectly fits in there. You have a nice padded center console. You lift that up. Most of the space is kind of taken up by your wireless charging pad, but you can put like pencils and pens and things on the other side. And you also have a USB-C inlet. Very nice use of the natural grain wood in this car. As you can see, it's got a nice little Quattro logo on that side. Lockable glove box. Once you open that up, you have a pretty good amount of space. It's all felt lined in there. You also have a nice auto-dimming rear view mirror with a compass in it. And the center stack houses a couple of notable controls. So you have some LED illumination up top, as well as various more lighting controls, SOS information, and things like that. And we also have the controls for the sunroof. So it's not quite a panoramic sunroof, but it's definitely larger than a normal one. And there's a single switch to control both the shade and the opening of the roof. So pretty cool to see that it's powered, the shade on this car. And then you can also use the same button to tilt or to slide the actual glass part of the roof open. One more thing I wanted to point out is the visors. So they'll fold down nice, give you a nice little light in the mirror. Then you can also fold them out to the other side to block light over there. But that's enough of the features. I think you get a good overview of all of the features on this car, really. And let's get this thing out for a drive. All right, driving the 2022 A5 Sportback. Now, importantly, this is the 40 TFSI powertrain, as I've said before. So, we're working with 201 horsepower, about 236 pound-feet of torque. So, and that's, I've driven these before, and it's still a pretty good performing car. You don't have all the power that the 45 does, but it still does really well. Now, throughout this test drive, I'm going to take us down to this dead end. We'll see what the turning circle is like, and we'll get it out onto sort of a 2-lane highway, see what it's like up at like 45, 50 miles an hour. And we'll end off on a sort of back road. We'll get a feel for the handling, see how the suspension handles bumps, and also the acceleration. Pretty good turning circle too, by the way. So we're going to start off in comfort mode and the lane assist on. As you can see, it's active, but there's obviously no lanes on this road. But when it picks up the lanes, these sort of will illuminate green. And once you go outside of your lane, it'll kind of illuminate red and then sort of gently steer you back into the lane. So it's a pretty cool setup here with the lane assist. Alright, so taking off, hopefully with traffic we'll be able to hit about 45, 50, and we'll see what the sound levels are like in here and what the suspension is like. Steering feel has a pretty good weight to it, even in comfort mode. It's not like a fake feeling or anything like that. Right, so as you can see, now the lane assist is active. You can see that down in the driver's assistance menu. Kind of once you veer out of the lane, you can see that it'll turn red and then kind of gently steer you back into the lane. You can also see the front distance warning. It picks up cars very well, and also the lanes very well too, so that's pretty great. Very quiet in here. Now just keep in mind we do have some pretty large wheels for this car, and 19-inch wheels, so we're gonna get a little tiny bit of extra noise, but we'll make up for that in the handling department. But even with the frameless glass on the windows, it's still very quiet in here. You know, a little bit more noisy than if you would have traditional frames around the window, but it does just fine. Now I'm going to drop it down into our dynamic mode here, since this is where we'll get a good acceleration once we turn onto this back road here. One more thing is super quiet at an idle. You don't even know the engine's running. I kind of thought I didn't turn the start-stop off. You know, I thought it wasn't running. But for the acceleration, we'll get it up to about 25. We'll mash the throttle and see what happens. So yeah, this 201 horsepower does this car very well. You know, it doesn't really sound like a lot for an Audi, but what that 201 horsepower does is it gets you into an Audi for a little bit less money. So that's I think they did a pretty good tactic there with making a little bit less powerful car. And they do that in the A4 as well as the A5, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, still plenty of horsepower for a car of this size. You know, I would compare it to maybe something like, you know, maybe a little bit faster than a Passat with the 2.0T, but it still gets around very fine. And just in normal driving, you know, you really don't feel a difference between this and the more powerful engine. You know, maybe this versus the S5 would be quite a bit of a difference, but you know, with the two-liter turbos, you really don't feel that much of a difference. Ride quality is pretty nice too. There's not a whole lot of noise coming from the suspension or the tires hitting bumps. As you can see, the revs are up a little bit since it senses that we're going down a hill and wants to save you those brake pads that can be a little bit expensive. So kind of turning onto this road here, we have a couple of twisty corners. We could test out how this car feels around the corners. You know, I don't really expect this to be a cornering car, but we'll try it out. But it stays pretty composed through the corners, so that's pretty good. It's still in the dynamic mode from when we accelerated. It feels pretty good. We'll take this one last corner. Yeah, suspension stays pretty level for the most part, and we're going to drop it back into comfort mode because we have the pretty much the bumpiest section of the road coming up here. So as you can see towards the center line, it's very rutted, and this road could use some paving, but that's good for us so we could test out how the suspension reacts. And it does a very nice job of soaking up all the bumps. There's a fine line between ride quality and just how a car rides, and this definitely has ride quality. So the best way I could explain it to you is over the bumps, you know, it feels fine, but when you're on a smooth road like this, in a lot of cars you could feel the road. In this one, you can barely feel the road, which is pretty, and that's what I call ride quality. And this car definitely has it, along with lots of Audis. Now these seats are pretty darn comfortable as well, and these are just the basic seats that you can get. You can also option on sport seats, which have a little bit of more side support, both on your bottom and on your back. And they also come with a cooling function, so they'll be heated and cooled instead of just these seats that are heated rather. And those optional seats will also come with thigh extensions, which are very comfortable, at least for me, on longer trips. But these seats do just fine with the thigh extensions for me, and they are plenty comfortable. And they also come with the 4-way lumbar, as you saw before. Very comfortable steering wheel too, by the way. I kind of always drive any car like this, you know, kind of at your 9 3 grips. So it's very, very comfortable position in your hands. So to round out the video, I hope you have enjoyed this A5 Sportback just as much as I have, because I really do enjoy this car. You know, it's a very nice mixture of a sporty driving experience as well as a comfort driving experience, and with some really good looks both on the inside and the outside with the cool wheels and the black optic package. So that pretty much does it for this particular vehicle. Make sure you stay with us here at Ty Drives for more videos on more cars just like this one.